Welcome, everyone, to our webinar on fasting and detox. We are so honored to have the panelists that we have with us today. I am Karin Johnson, and I own AccuSource Healing in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. I have been a practitioner, for many decades, starting in nursing since the early 70s, and I'm an acupuncturist for the last 17 years. I have wonderful services at my place. I have far infrared sauna, ionic foot detox. I specialize in designing individualized programs for people so that they get through their journey towards health. And it is at their pace and in a way that feels correct for them. So my own journey to health actually started when I was in nursing school and recognized that what I ate made a difference in my health. So my first fasting experience was I was newly married and we were kind of on a break vacation at a shore house and said, so let us fast. So me and my husband said, okay, we're going to fast and see what this is like. So we did successfully fast for most of the day. That late afternoon, we got hungry and said, okay, we fasted. This was successful. And so we're going to celebrate. What we did was we celebrated with pizza, a bottle of Dr. Pepper, and an entire box of Mallomars. And that was what I thought fasting was. I've journeyed a bit since then and discovered that fasting is actually a little more complex than that, and that may not have been the best way to come off a fast. So today we have the privilege of having speakers who are individually experts in their area, and they're going to share with you some good information, hints, and secrets. And I hope you will enjoy every moment. And please let us know how we did and tell us your questions.
So our first panelist is Amanda Fleissner of Fire Relief Therapy. Amanda is an occupational therapist with advanced training in pediatric OT, craniosacral therapy, and root effects. And Amanda has been fasting since 2007. Amanda, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Hi. I'm Amanda Fleissner. Yes, I have been fasting since 2007. I actually went back and counted, and it's been I've done about 30 fasts so far, and detoxes. And I find it's a very important part of my yearly self-care. But a little bit about me first. I am a occupational therapist, and I have a private practice in East Hanover, New Jersey called Find Relief Therapy. And I service infants, children, and adults. It's a family practice because the whole family needs to be healthy. And I specialize in two advanced techniques. One is craniosacral therapy, which is a gentle touch therapy that accesses the cerebrospinal fluid in the brain and the spine. And I use that to work with the nervous system and all the parts of the body. But it also involves releasing stored emotions. And I use a therapy called Root FX, which is a training for muscular tension and chronic tension in the body. I create personalized exercise and training programs for people to release the tension in their muscles and then build strength so that they can have more mobility as they age. And both of the techniques that I use mainly in my practice, besides just general occupational therapy treatments, is they both get to the root cause of what's going on for the person. Because if you don't understand why something is happening, there's less of a chance that you're going to be able to get to the bottom of it. And unfortunately, in a lot of the clients that I get, especially the adult clients who have chronic pain, chronic conditions, They're like, oh, well, the doctor says everything is fine. They took the labs, they took the exams, nothing's wrong with me, but why do I feel this way? And so that's when we have to delve deeper into what are the underlying causes. And there are underlying mental causes, certainly, years of built up emotion. Our bodies are very good at storing emotions, either that we experience or that we don't express. And so those stored emotions, the body's always having to maneuver around those, and they can be stored really anywhere in the body. So releasing those stored emotions can be very helpful. The other thing is inflammation in the body can cause, it can cause havoc. And I know that's a pretty large umbrella term, but it can cause, both in the nervous system, both in your organs, in your muscles, in your all the sort of soft tissues of your body. Inflammation can be very detrimental and not always something that you can really test for, or you can really see. It shows itself more in terms of symptoms. And so my clients who have chronic back pain, chronic neck pain, fibromyalgia, jaw tension, vertigo, tinnitus, the ringing in the ears, a lot of that, comes from the inflammation response in the body, and also the fight or flight response in the nervous system. So, how does that relate to cleansing? So the way that I look at inflammation in the body, and, our environment right now, just, you could be the healthiest person in the world. You could drink water and eat and exercise and do all those wonderful things. But our environment, just by the nature of how we live and where we live, is toxic, and we're taking in toxins all the time. And just like, I like to think of it like, just like you would change the oil in your car, you need to kind of change the oil in your body. I find for myself, it works every 6 months, or sometimes change of the seasons. I like to cleanse. I like to detox. Now, the way that I do that is I have used since 2007, I have used a cleanse called the Master Cleanse, which is a liquid fasting cleanse where I take in lemon juice, cayenne pepper, and maple syrup. When friends of mine or people see me doing this cleanse, you take that in for 10 days, and that's all you take in. So there's no solid food. And what it does is the mechanism, it shuts down the digestive system and allows the other organs to cleanse. My tongue turns white. But what's amazing is that for the 10 days that I do that cleanse, I still get solid stuff coming out of my body, and I have more energy, and I sleep better. Food cravings basically go away. My sense of smell is heightened. It's a really, really wonderful reset, and it is more of an intense cleanse. And when I did it the first few times, I had someone guiding me and helping me. I think that's one of the most important things about cleansing and detoxing. You need to have support there. You cannot do it just on your own, especially at least at first. Even now I tell my family, or my husband, that I'm doing a cleanse, and they know, he knows how to support me because I can ask for certain help. But you really do need someone there guiding you for support, because in the beginning, if this is your first few cleanses, even if they're very gentle ones, things can come up, symptoms can come up. Your body, you need to be able to talk out what you're experiencing. So I have found cleansing very, very helpful. And I think if I didn't cleanse, I wouldn't get that reset that allows me to stay healthy. In fact, unfortunately, this time last year, I had some food poisoning that gave me some symptoms of IBS and SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And I was very, very sick. And through the course of my treatment, I cleansed 3 different times with the Master Cleanse. And every single time I got a step better, because it helped me cleanse out another layer of this illness, to where now today, I'm almost fully recovered. So I really encourage people and clients that I meet to cleanse at the level that you feel comfortable with, but to find one that works for you. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Great. Thank you so much, Amanda. I will open the chat now for any questions that you may have for Amanda. I'm going to give viewers 1 minute to type out any questions that you might have. And if not, perhaps Karin might have some questions for you. So let's give everybody a chance to get their thoughts together.
So, Amanda, do you cut back on other activities during that 10-day cleanse?
I do, because I look at it as a time of rest. And I mean, well, I work. I work and I'm a mother. So I can't cut out those two things. But I do purposefully choose a time when, because it is for me, it's 10 days, but sometimes, 2 or 3 days can be helpful, anything really, 24 hours. But I make sure that I have time to do it in my schedule. I'm not going to parties, or I don't have a really very busy schedule. I make sure that it's done at a time where I can really just focus on me and my cleanse and what I need to do, and not expend too much energy, because my body is working to cleanse out all of the toxins. So it needs that extra energy at that time.
Yep. And what are some of the worst symptoms you had while going through that?
Some of the worst symptoms that I've had some headaches. Obviously you can have cramping or, sort of diarrhea-like symptoms, especially if you're taking a laxative. I tend to be constipated in my general life, which is another reason I detox, because constipation is not enjoyable. So going to the bathroom a lot is actually a bonus for me. For other people, it might be a deterrent, but for me, I enjoy it. Nausea and irritability. There's a lot of emotions that can come up. Your body, when you're physically detoxing, will also detox emotions that are stuck there. So.
So Amanda, oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I see the question in the chat from Marie Claire Brown. Do you want me to answer that?
Yes. So Marie asks, when is a detox cleanse not recommended?
That's a good question. I would say, and this is just my personal opinion, I would say certainly not if you're already, like, if you're actively sick, like if you have a cold or the flu or something like that. You want to be at a sort of whatever your sort of normal level is. I would not recommend it if you're going through a very stressful experience, like a big life change. Like I had just said, it needs to kind of be like a normal week or a normal time. And then of course, it depends on your medical state. So if you have other conditions that need to be considered, diabetes, heart disease, those sorts of things, you need to consider the health of your body and match that with the strength of the cleanse that you're doing and how long you're doing it for. But that's, of course, you have to determine that on your own and what's right for you.
That's perfect advice. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions for Amanda at this time? Okay.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Of course.
Thank you. Thanks,
So
Amanda.
I am going to introduce our next panelist. Chat, if you have any questions for Amanda that come at a later time, we will revisit those at the end of everybody's speaking sessions. Okay, so our next panelist is Melanie Norman of Red Dragon Consulting Group. Melanie is the co-founder of the National Academy of Healing Nutrition, the Nova Institute, and the Black Canyon Inn. She's taught at the Natural Gourmet Institute for Health and Culinary Arts for 20 years. Melanie, the floor is yours. I'm sorry, Melanie, can you please unmute?
Yeah, I just saw that. Trying to be polite, being muted while Amanda was speaking. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining us today. So yes, I have quite a journey with a cleansing, detoxifying, and fasting. So I started my journey probably in the 70s. And yes, I'm that old. So I started, it was through the first introduction to the macrobiotic diet. I don't know if you know what the macrobiotic diet is, but George Usawa was one of the founding fathers of the macrobiotic diet. And I picked up 3 books in a health food store at the end of a summer. And one of his recommendations was to eat nothing but brown rice for 10 days and it would cure all illness. Okay. I went on after eating what health food candy bars and not really good healthy health food. I started to eat brown rice for 10 days. Well, I got a headache. I started not feeling good. I got a fever. I think I got diarrhea. I'm like, wait a minute. This is, I don't know. What is he talking about? This is not working at all. So I proceeded to go back to my health food, candy bars, etc. Fast forward a couple of years, I then went on probably every 10-day fast I could think of. So there was a 10-day carrot juice fast I did that in the springtime in Boston and felt wonderful uh, and felt clarity, felt energy, felt vitality. But yet towards the end of the fast, the springtime in the Northeast can be wonderfully warm 1 minute and cold the next. And then suddenly I became extremely cold. Let's see, I did 10 days of fruit juice. I did 10 days of fruit. I did 10 days of, let's see, what was the other one? Probably my favorite fast was 10 days of vegetables, where it was 10 days of squash, corn, and one other vegetable. So basically, it was a vegetable fast. What did I learn from all those different types of fasts? Oh, by the way, I'm sorry I didn't talk about my background. Uh, so for 35 years, I taught food healing and traditional Chinese dietary therapy. I, like Diana said, uh, I was co-founder of the Healing Institute in New York City. I taught food healing and Chinese dietary therapy. I was chef instructor nutritionist at the Natural Gourmet Institute of Health and Culinary Arts for over 20 years. I helped co-found we founded, it was a healing place, macrobiotic center in Denver, Colorado for 5 years. So we had an inpatient clinic, we had an outpatient clinic, Meals on Wheels, we did nutritional counseling, etc. So I am a founder of the Red Dragon Consulting Group. And what that is Chinese metaphysics. So what I have done now is combined my 35 years of nutritional counseling, food and healing, and Chinese dietary therapy in with Chinese metaphysics. So now I have been focusing on classical feng shui, Bazi Chinese astrology, and I'm actually combining Bazi Chinese astrology with food healing and Chinese dietary therapy, because you can look at a person's chart and you can see their health in that. So let's see, back to the different fasts that I did. Uh, so I didn't understand cleansing and detoxifying of the body. So as I mentioned, many of the fasts, your body starts to cleanse and detox when you remove the toxic foods that you are used to consuming, whether it's sugars, whether it's modern dairy, whether it's the water that that they're, the city water that they put a lot of pollutants in. And so then your body starts to go through a cleanse and detox. So then that's a couple of days and, symptoms can appear. Then let's see, 5 days, 6 days, you start to feel more energy, more vitality. And then by the 8th or 9th day, I was God and I could create anything. So what happened on the 11th day? What happened after I stopped all my fast? I ate everything in sight because I didn't understand that it's not just the fasting, it's how you come out off the fast that's almost even more important than the fast that you're doing. You have, if you're doing a fast, whether it's 24 hours, it's 2 days, it's 3 days, it is extremely important how you come off that fast. You have to come off with broths and soups and juices and very slowly reintroduce food back into your system. So that's one of a very important lesson that I learned. Another important lesson that I think that what I did be through all these different experiences and my journey on throughout my how do I say that my dietary journey throughout my life, because I've certainly evolved and changed and grown as far as the foods that I recommend now. Uh, there are I do not think certain people should fast. So what I ended up doing is I developed a class called Cleanse, Detox, and Rebuild. And I taught this for over 20 years at the Natural Gourmet Institute of Health and Culinary Arts in New York City, and where I took Chinese dietary therapy and I brought that in, and we went through each organ of detoxification or each organ in the body and what it does and how it, the meaning behind it as far as Chinese dietary therapy related to it. So who was the woman before, Marie Claire Brown, you asked a question, are there people that shouldn't fast? Yes, there are. So just from my perspective, pregnant women should not fast. Nursing mothers should not fast. I think the elderly, especially with immune compromised systems, should not fast. Children should not fast. I think, let's see, also in Chinese medicine, you have to have what they call pretty strong spleen qi, and that has to do with your digestive qi. That that you have that your body can handle that fasting. So if you are cold in Chinese medicine, if you're cold, you're deficient, it can be actually detrimental. So that I learned a lot. I learned a lot over the years of fasting and the benefits and then the backsides to it. So
Great. Thank you so much, Melanie. I will now open the chat for anybody to ask any questions of Melanie. I personally have a question. So you were saying that you were going on all these different types of fasts of 10 days of eating only one food. How do you determine, what kind of fast you should be partaking in?
well, that's a very good question. Well, now actually, I have a different view on fasting. I wouldn't just do one food, and I would definitely include certain foods. Like I would definitely include bone broths in the fast. And another thing I want to say about fasting, you really, first of all, it's very important that you really know what you're doing. Second of all, you have a support system. Third of all, what is the fast that you are going on? So if you're doing like nothing but a fluid fast, but I would incorporate a combination of juices and perhaps just vegetable juices as opposed to fruit juices. And it also depends upon your internal condition from Chinese medicine. If you're very cold, uh, uh, raw food is actually detrimental to a person with a very cold condition. So you do have to be careful with that. So if you're very cold, then I would recommend broths and bone broths, teas, uh, very high quality water. So an alkaline water, well water, you could do say for 24 hours. So I'd recommend that. If you have more heat, if you have a strong spleen qi, if you have strong digestive qi, then you could probably handle, raw juices, which are raw and more cold. And also, what are the time of year you're fasting? If you look at all the fasting places, where are they? They're in Florida. They're in Arizona. They're in the warm climates. They're not necessarily in the cold winter climates. So another thing I think is you also have to be careful of the time of year you're fasting. And they also recommend, actually, was it springtime spring and fall is actually a good time to fast because of the changing of seasons. So again, it's looking at your internal condition. So it's specifically for you and what's going on in your body. Are you cold? Are you hot? Are you damp? Are you dry? Are you blood or qi deficient? These are all terms that you can ascertain from a person from a Chinese medicine perspective.
Thank you. Chat, any other questions for Melanie? Okay, if you come up with a question during the rest of this discussion, we will be revisiting the Q&A at the end. All right, without further ado, I will introduce our final panelist, Meghan Rose. Meghan is a certified yoga instructor through the Himalayan School of Tradition Yoga, which is not an exercise, but a set of practices, which bring the body, soul, and mind into alignment so that one can be their true self. And the focus is on building awareness and deepening the silence within. Meghan, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you so much. So after hearing the other panelists speak, I just wanted to share a bit more about my background. So actually, I went to university for several years and I was studying mental health counseling. I was in a undergrad bachelor's program combined with studying master's level courses at the same time, and I was doing this for several years. And then actually my path took a turn and I started studying Vedic astrology, also known as Jyotish, full-time for about 2 years. And for the last almost year now I've been studying yoga with the Himalayan School of Traditional Yoga. And so what I want to say about that is actually, I won't say everyone, but a lot of Westerners, because of the way yoga is portrayed in our culture, is they think of yoga as just a physical exercise. But actually, the physical postures that you do are only the first step. And there's various reasons why we do them. One is that it helps release blockages, whether that's physical or energetically, that are in the body. And it also starts helping calm the mind, so that this is a preparatory step actually, so that you're in alignment and you can sit in meditation. So this is actually only one step, and there's a whole other world of yoga that exists beyond that. And people who practice yoga, they call themselves yogis. But actually, what is a yogi? The first step to becoming a yogi, which is somebody who lives with their body, soul, and mind in unison, the first step of becoming a yogi is being absolutely yourself. So not only is yoga about aligning your body, soul, and mind, it's actually about being yourself totally in any circumstance. And actually, I think that one of the biggest problems today is that we're not able to be ourselves. So yoga is a path for you to explore more about yourself. And how it relates with detoxifying, I would emphasize that it detoxifies your mind more than anything. That's what I want to speak about right now, because when you start practicing yoga, the focus, you're doing an activity, right? But the focus is actually on building awareness. So with the method that the Himalayan School of Traditional Yoga follows is that every time after you would practice a specific posture, you would just stand in total silence with your eyes closed, and you will see, how is my breathing now? How is my heartbeat? What are the emotions and the quality of thoughts that come up? And something that happens when you start going into the silence and building your awareness is that a lot of the past baggage, the past impressions from your life experiences, maybe it's not even your own experience, it's something that you took in from the internet that is now lingering in your mind, that starts to come up. So you actually are detoxifying yourself internally in this way. And when you sometimes, not to scare anybody, but sometimes when you start practicing yoga, a lot of obstacles also start coming up, because now you're doing something that maybe you haven't done before. You are now going into silence instead of checking your phone, and it's like the world will start grabbing you. I remember when I started practicing yoga regularly, my cat would be knocking things down in the house. It just happens. you could say it's sort of a test, but it's really a test of the mental level. You don't have to see it as the universe is out to get you. So that can happen with yoga, but what happens is when you are able to sit longer in the silence, you will be able to develop this sort of detachment from the thoughts that bother you, because really the thoughts that we like, we don't have a problem with. It's the thoughts that we don't like that will have a problem with. So anyways, these are the things that can start happening when you start practicing yoga, but as you do it more and more, definitely you will have some more bodily awareness. Oh, I didn't realize that that pain has been there for so long, or that I have been clenching my stomach is in knots, and that, oh, my breathing is extremely shallow because I'm in very, very stressed. So you will start to get to know yourself a lot deeper through this path. And what I would say about when is yoga not recommended, definitely anybody can practice yoga. Doing yoga, especially when you're doing the physical practice of yoga, it's absolutely not about doing the pose perfectly. Actually, you should never strive to do the end pose perfectly, because all of us will have some tightness in the body, we'll have blockages, we can have past injuries that will prevent us from doing so. So like I said, you should be natural, do it to your own pace. Of course, if you have spinal issues, then you definitely need to have a yoga teacher to work that out, because what yoga does is all the postures work every single area of your spine. The other thing is that, like I said before, yoga really is emphasizing on going within and going into your inner silence. And for a lot of us who have experienced depression, we know how hard that is. We're already sitting there kind of sunken with your thoughts. So it's not that you can't do yoga. You can do yoga, but you should supplement it with some kind of purpose. Purpose doesn't mean you need to know your purpose in life. I'm going to be a celebrity now. It doesn't have to be that. It could be as simple as you doing service, because when you do service, you actually see that you've made a positive impact in other people's lives, and that will start boosting yourself as well. So that's what I would recommend, what I've seen for many other people, what I've experienced in my life. Yeah, and the next thing to touch upon is any special hints about yoga. The one thing I would mention is, what are the signs that I have blockages? Any tightness in the body, especially when you're doing any poses, if you're simply sitting down, or you don't even have to be doing the yoga asana, the physical practices, to know you've had tightness in your body. Those are some special hints. And then how I can be contacted, you can contact me via email, which is meganrose444@gmail.com, or on WhatsApp, which maybe we can provide you some more of our contact information after this call. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Megan. So we have a question right off the bat from Marie. Marie asks, there are so many forms of yoga out there, studios on every corner. How do you find the right method and the right instructor, particularly in the beginning?
This is a really great question. Actually, personally, the first time I ever tried yoga, I was at a yoga school with many different yoga instructors, and some really, it wasn't just one form of yoga, by the way. It was vinyasa yoga, it was Iyengar, and there are great things to enjoy about both, but of course, it depends. Sorry, what I'm really trying to say is you should find out from your experience. And also you can look it up. Like vinyasa yoga goes really from one pose into the next. It's sort of like a dance, and it's more faster pace. Iyengar is slower, and it focuses more on certain postures for body alignment. The Himalayan school of traditional yoga practices hatha yoga. And what I like about that personally is that after each pose, you will then stand, or you can lie down, and you'll simply close your eyes and feel your body. There won't be any of this, like the you know, the teacher is going right from one pose to the next and you have no idea what you're doing. Our method is totally different. You'll be demonstrated everything before, and then me or the other teacher will check on you to make sure you're doing it properly. And that's one thing that I really enjoy. So every school uses something different. Also in the Himalayan school, because we're focusing on silence, we don't use any music. Many yoga schools use music, but actually music stimulates your mind. So it's kind of like contradicting. Yeah, so I would say just you can look into the different types of yoga, vinyasa, hatha, iyengar, see what you feel would work for you. You can, if possible, you can give it a try, all these things, and really you'll just have to go from your experience, trial and error.
Great.
Yeah, and most schools will let you come in for one trial class.
Yeah.
Because they do,
Yeah.
you know, most yoga studios, I mean.
Yeah, so you can
Yeah.
Goldilocks
Is it possible, Megan, is it possible for you to just draw a few more direct connections with somebody doing yoga while they're going through a detox and fasting?
Doing yoga while you're in a detox and fasting,
Mhm.
that's when you definitely should have a yoga practitioner who you can speak to. The reason why I would really have more one-on-one sessions in that case if you're doing a detox, because different poses and even the pranayama, the breathing practices, can also start activating different things, and we would just want to make sure that everything's fine along with your detox. I guess I hope that answers that.
So Marie has a follow-up question. Marie asks, when is hot yoga a health bonus?
Yeah, personally, I've never actually tried hot yoga, and I feel like I wouldn't say that nobody should try it, but definitely after my experience, I really like practicing traditional hatha yoga a lot more. Just because even we can change your body temperature using pranayama, the poses. And there's something else called mudras, which a lot of yoga schools do not practice. For example, a mudra is simply a hand gesture that you would do after your asana and pranayama practice. So after the physical and breathing practice, then you can sit in meditation and you would do a specific hand gesture that activates different channels in your body. So for example, if it's very cold out, you can manipulate your body temperature by doing Surya Mudra. Surya is a Sanskrit word for the sun, and that would actually activate the heat in your body. And there's yogis living out in the Himalayan mountains who are actually sitting there half naked in the snow. And I'm not telling you they do mudras, but they've actually learned how to keep their body warm. So that's why I like the hatha traditional yoga method more than maybe a hot yoga class, because if you want to sweat, you can definitely make yourself sweat in different ways and control your body temperature more.
So you're saying you can do that internally rather than with the external, high heat or high heat
Yeah, you
environment of
wouldn't.
hot yoga?
Yeah, I've actually practiced the Surya Mudra myself. In the winter was my first time practicing it. And actually I had the heater on. It was winter. I had a hot blanket on and I had to take that all off. That is how much this mudra was working for me.
All right.
Mm.
Any other
I-
questions for Megan specifically? Melanie, you sounded like you wanted to say something.
No, I was just, I tried hot yoga once, and I can tell you, I wanted to leave every other minute. That was the most intense yoga practice or yoga class I've ever taken. But I have to tell you, it's amazing how you feel if you can make it through the class afterwards, and like you get out, and then like you're soaked from head to toe, and then you go and you take a shower, and it's pretty amazing. I do have to say, but that's been my only experience with hot yoga. But again, I would look at the person's internal condition and see if they could handle that. personal from a Chinese medicine perspective.
Yeah,
'Cause that's
Megan,
a pretty
earlier,
in-
sorry.
that's an intense class. That's intense.
Megan, you were saying earlier that yoga is like a detox of the mind. After a hot yoga, you don't have a mind. Your brain is smooth. No ridges, no
Perfect.
lumps, no valleys, no bumps.
Perfect. I don't know if I know we're making a joke, so I won't tell you go do that to cut your mind, but
Okay, so if there's no further questions for Megan specifically, I am going to open up the chat for general Q&A. So viewers or any panelists, if you would like to ask each other any questions, or just ask a general question that anybody can, pick up and answer, floor and chat is open for discussion.
Well, I would like to say that this has been a wonderful panel of true experts and people who really know what they're doing and how to do it. And we're really honored that each of you chose to be with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
yeah, thanks, Karen. I'm honored you invited me.
We
Okay,
are thinking, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Was that Amanda wanted to say something?
Oh, we
just
have a
thank you.
hand of, sorry, go ahead. Amanda, you were
No,
saying
I'm
something.
good. Just thank you so much for glad to
Good,
be here.
thank you. Yeah, thanks for being here, Amanda.
So
So we are, yeah,
Marie is raising a hand. So Marie, I'm going to
Okay.
unmute you. Yeah.
There we go. Hi, everyone. This has been great. I'm so glad I wasn't working today because I would have missed this. But everyone talks about balance. And my question is what that balance really is. So, I've been told don't do any physical activity or even yoga when you're detoxing. Basically be a bump on a log for those however many days. But I'm hearing that there are some benefits to actually doing some of at least mostly the mental, I think probably the mental versus the physical part during yoga. But I'm just curious about what actually is that balance that everybody tells you need to find that balance. But what is the balance?
That's a good question.
I have a thought on that. I think part of the balance, and this is maybe a skill to find that balance, is to actually check in with your body and see what your body needs. A lot of what I do with my clients in the office is actually getting them to start to listen to their bodies. And that can be something as simple as quieting your mind, taking some deep breaths, asking your body, physically asking your body a question and seeing what the answer is that maybe pops into your mind or that you hear, and connecting into that, like, people call it gut or intuition. So you were saying about, you had heard about not moving or doing much during your cleanse. I agree with that. Certainly not strenuous exercise, but also movement, getting the fluids of your body moving can be helpful. So if you're wondering what's the balance during a cleanse or a detox time of how much I should move, then you could do something like sit quietly with yourself, quiet your mind as best you can, take a few deep breaths, and then ask your body, what do I need to do to move you today? And maybe you hear, go for a walk. Okay, great. Go for a walk. Maybe you hear stretch, do some, whatever finding that balance is actually really part of just connecting into what your body needs, because our bodies are amazingly intelligent machines. And when we connect into hearing and listening and feeling what our body needs, you really kind of can't go wrong, because you're listening to that intuition. And that might seem strange at first. It's certainly a practice, just like everything else. But I find when I'm looking for balance, or when I feel like things are out of balance, reconnecting with my body, asking what it needs, and then giving it that, is a great way to restore that balance.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Amanda.
Marie Claire, when you're talking about balance, are you talking about balance just while you're fasting, or balance overall in one's life?
So both, and the second balance, I think we don't have enough time on this call for that. But no, I just in terms of the fasting, you know, I have done attempts at fasting, and after a while, you know, after a certain date, again, that headache may happen. The one that I actually have done more than once is the one with the cayenne and lemon and
Yeah, the master cleanse. Yes,
right, the master cleanse. And you know, after a certain amount of time, you're thinking I should be feeling more vibrant and more awake, and actually you're more sluggish.
Yep.
And so it's actually it's a lot more than just following the instructions on a piece of paper. And so that's the balance that I was interested in.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because my class was called Cleanse, Detox, and Rebuild. Because it's not just cleanse, 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 detox. Because if you're not rebuilding the organs that handle the detoxification in your body in the first place, you're actually going to deplete your body, and you're going to get actually quite off balance. So, and that's where I think you can support your body with nutrient dense foods, and it may not necessarily be quote unquote a fast like what people determine a fast is. I mean, the extremists say, oh, the only really fast is water, and that you have to remove all foods. I mean, I think that can be actually dangerous and detrimental to a person. So but I think that that's very, very important, is you have to not just cleanse and detox, but rebuild the organs in your body that handle that. And again, I go back to the person, and from a Chinese medicine perspective. So you talk about balance. Well, if the person's cold, then you warm them up. If they're too hot, you cool them down. If they're too damp, you dry the dampness. If they're too dry, you moisten the dryness. And if they're blood and qi deficient, you build up the blood and qi. And anyways, and Karin, I'm sure, understands the lingo, the words I'm using, but that to me, and the reason that I think Chinese medicine and healing and understanding of the body is so profound, because it treats the person, it treats the individual, it does not treat the disease. And I think that's what's wrong with our Western medicine, is it's very symptomatic, and it treats the symptoms, and it doesn't treat the person, because everyone is unique. They're individual, like Amanda was saying when she first started speaking. We're all different, we're all unique, and we have to address the individual as well. So
Sounds like we need a coach to really get us through that first phase of learning more about the detox and the cleanse and the rebuild. And I think the rebuild is where people like me fail, because we're just focusing on getting it out as opposed to building it back.
there you go. There you go.
I think
Yeah.
I think that actually was the balance that I was looking for. It's like, I'm empty, I've lost weight, I feel like I've gotten everything out of me, but now what? And so
Right.
you start doing the same things over and over and over again.
Right, exactly. That's a very good point. Exactly. Yes. Yep. That's why, yeah, I stress that part, rebuilding.
Are
Um,
are are you ladies
sorry.
going to drop your information if we want to follow up?
Yes,
sure.
so
Yeah, of course.
I will be putting, or panelists, you can put your own emails and phone numbers in the chat. Megan, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, because while Marie was speaking, it prompted me to say something about the silencing the mind thing, because a lot of people, especially people who talk about meditation, yoga, and all this stuff, they will all talk about this state of no mind or silencing the mind. And I know for a lot of people, they will kind of call it quits either very soon, or they just won't start at all, because there's no way ever that your mind would be instantly silent. Maybe unless I don't know, you're a very special person, because mind's nature is naturally processing everything, going, speaking all the time. And it's kind of like, imagine your mind as a child. If you yell at that child, shut up, what do you think is going to happen? It's probably more often not going to be quiet. It's going to cry. It's going to try really hard to get your attention, because that child is also relying on you, you know? So when you start going into silence, and this isn't just for Marie, but for anybody who would end up listening to them, I really want to say is that a lot of junk can start appearing, because we're really only looking to the outside. We're constantly working, we're interacting with people, we're never really sitting in silence. So a lot of junk can start appearing. A lot of things that you don't like. More often than not, people are getting thoughts that they wish they never had that thought. Am I a bad person because I had that thought? Or I don't want to remember that. All this huge umbrella can start happening, and it's not to scare anybody. What I'm trying to say is that this is like the initial obstacle that people don't want to face, or that they feel like they need to call it quits because they didn't go into meditation with their mind silent at first. It's not like that. When you start practicing, whether you're meditating or you're doing yoga or you're simply just observing yourself, that's really meditation. When you're present and you're just observing yourself, and all this stuff can start, this mental noise will start. What happens is, after a while, you'll realize that it's not just about silencing, it's about acceptance, accepting the fact that even maybe you can't accept yourself or your own thoughts. So acceptance of the thoughts that you might have, acceptance of yourself, or even the fact that maybe you can't accept yourself, that should be accepted. So I just wanted to mention that about going into the silence, that this is what can happen. And definitely you should accept the fact that even maybe your mind can't be silent, which is 100% the case for all of us. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Meg.
Thank you, Megan. Marie has final two questions. The first one is, how do you find the right fast? And I guess this is a general question for anybody.
I would say you need to start where you are, evaluate what has been successful, and take it one step further. For example, someone who's never fasted may start with intermittent fasting and see if they can go 12 hours without eating and just supporting it with water. Somebody who's used to doing a 3-day fast might be ready to start a 4-day fast, etc.
One more message. And Marie asks, will I be able to access this recording later? Yes, Marie, we are recording, and and you will receive this recording when the meeting is completed.
Mhm.
All right. Does
Good
anybody
question.
have any?
It's
Sorry,
a
go
very
ahead.
good-
Go
it's a
ahead.
Good question. So again, I would If you want me to be very technical, you can do a look at your tongue. In Chinese medicine, how they determine the internal condition of a person is through tongue and pulse. And a person has to be a very, very adept at pulse diagnosis. They spend years studying how to read a pulse and all the vocabulary that goes with, like because you can feel all your internal organs, and there's a whole vocabulary that will explain the internal condition of a person's body from a Chinese medicine perspective. A little bit easier, you can actually do tongue diagnosis yourself, and there's a whole vocabulary and how to determine your internal condition from looking at your tongue. So I'd be happy to share that with you. So for example, if your tongue is thick and white and coated, that shows a damp condition. If your tongue is red, it shows heat condition. If your tongue is pale, it shows a cold condition. So you can just start from the color of your tongue. And then there's something called the fur, and that's like that's the coating. If the coating is like kind of like what they call more of a yellowish color, especially in the center, that's called damp heat. So to me, that's how I would use that diagnostic tool as one way. I mean, there's many ways to diagnose a person, but that is a wonderful tool that you can actually use in your own home, in your own bathroom, and determine that condition. Then you choose from there. You choose what you are going to foods you are going to use to help balance that condition, right? To bring your condition back into balance. So to dry that dampness, to warm that cold, to cool that heat, etc.
Okay, great. Any final questions? Anything anybody wants to say? Marie says, great session, strong women, thank you.
Yeah, so for those of you who wish to have a consult, you can contact the practitioners individually. You certainly can contact me. I'm doing an offering of $75 one-time fee for a consultation to help you set up your individualized program, and it does include good discounts on some of the services that I offer here at AcuSource, which is a far infrared sauna and a ionic foot detox, as well as other services. So yeah, we're here to serve you and to help you in a way that's appropriate for you. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, everybody, all panelists, and everybody who is here with us live today. Yes, what Karin said, if you would like to schedule a consult, you can contact any of our panelists. Their information is in the meeting chat, but I actually will throw it up on the screen right now so that everybody can see. Whoops, something in my settings. And we may have mentioned that today is just the first.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, today is just the first in a series of panel discussions that we are hoping to lead monthly. So next month we will have it on January 9th. That's correct.
January
So
9th, that's correct.
if anybody is interested in participating in the next panel discussion, please reach out to Karin or myself, and we will definitely keep you in the loop for that next one. Once again, thank you so much, panelists, and this will be recorded and sent out to anybody who would like to have a copy.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Megan.
you.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Karin. Thank you all for joining, and happy holidays.
Yes.
Go
Happy
Yes.
holidays.
Thank you very much.
Happy
Bye.
holidays. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good day, guys.
All right, have a good
You
day.
too.
Bye.